Clinton, could you do me a favor and start putting viewers' comments in the title? I like your videos, but I would prefer not to watch the Shitty Chipmunk Show, and you're clickbaiting me every time.
Hey, Duke, thanks so much for writing in. Now, I used to put viewers' comments in the title. However, the videos started getting demonetized, so I was kind of forced to not do that anymore. Here's the thing about that, though. Just remember, viewers' comments come out on Friday. I know that's a lot to remember, but you can do it. Anyway, it is episode number 250 of SMG Viewers Comments. Just like to say thank you to everybody for sticking with me through all of this week in, week out. It's been absolutely magnificent to sit here and answer your comments and questions about recording and just engage you guys. You guys absolutely fucking rule. And if you have not, please hit that subscribe button because it makes all the difference in the world. I'm trying to grow this channel a little bit more and I need your help to do it. Anyway, let's get right to the questions.
This dude has 0 credentials to be able to tell others how to do the job like this. He's only ever worked with absolute nobodies. Don't take anything he says are true as even useful. Poser.
Well, thanks very much for that, Daniel Kavanaugh. Really warms my heart to hear that my message is getting through and it's helping so many people. Here's the thing about that. Yes, I have worked with a couple of smaller names. I did that video about the Queensryche project I was involved with there a few weeks ago. Turns out it wasn't the real Queensryche, but it still had the name on the project. Never got paid. It's a very interesting video if you haven't checked it out. I've also got to re-amp Despised Icon, and I've done some black metal stuff that's done very well. But for the most part, you're right. I work with absolute nobodies. As do most of you guys out there as well. The difference being I've been doing it a little bit longer and we all run into the same issues with musicians that come into the studio unprepared. This is something that's very common. So what I'm doing, then the whole purpose of this show, in case it was a little too difficult for you to grasp, the purpose of this show is to help you guys avoid common mistakes in the studio and dealing with musicians.
You who don't know nothing about PCs, just do a half-hour research on the internet and you can build your good, silent, or whatever PC you want. Don't let someone to reap you of for something this simple. We live in 21 Sanctuary. It's a shame that this guy promotes something silly like this.
I think you're referencing the video I did a while back on slick audio PCs. And I went to great lengths to clarify one very important thing, and apparently you missed it. A lot of us can build our own PCs, myself included. For the first 15 to 17 years in the studio here, I custom built all my own PCs, and that's fine. If you're into that, that's absolutely fine. The reason I wound up going with a brand like Slick Audio to do my production PCs with is because the computers have now become mission critical. I do 3 videos a week. I need to be able to track, mix my audio, as well as edit video and get all that done. And it has to work every single time, because if I don't put content out, the algorithm says, oh, we're not going to push viewers to you. Therefore, I don't make a living. So if you've got plenty of time to dick around and build your own PC and debug it and do your own tech support, by all means, go with your own PC. Absolutely. If you're working as a professional in production and you want something reliable and something that will get fixed in a very timely fashion, the Slick Audio stuff is absolutely unbeatable. This is my production laptop. I use this for when I'm down in LA. I do a lot of mixing on this. I do a lot of video editing and whatnot. I got this from Slick Audio last summer, and honestly, it's been the best laptop I have ever owned. This thing is an absolute fucking beast. It wasn't cheap, and I paid for it with my own money, and you know what? It was worth every fucking penny. So take that to the bank.
Hey Glenn, does the size of your cabinet matter, or is it just the speaker that affects tone?
Hey there, Guitar Man Joe. Thank you so much for writing in. Yes, the size of the cabinet matters. The speakers matter. Where the mic is placed matters. The type of mic matters. The pick matters. The strings matter. The guitar, the pickup, the player, how you're holding the pick. It all freaking matters. Now, I explore all of these concepts in great detail in my new lesson, Total Heavy Guitar. Because of the coronavirus lockdown, we knocked $100 off the price. You can follow the link in the description below and grab it. Because if you want to learn how to record guitar and see how all those little different factors affect your tone, this is definitely the kind of lesson you want to check out. It's going for $97 right now. It's 4 hours long. I condensed about 20 years worth of information down into this. And everybody who's got it so far has been absolutely loving it. If you really want to step up your game for recording metal guitar, I highly recommend it. In the meantime, though, I would definitely recommend experimenting a little bit on your own. If you're not ready to pull the trigger on a 4x12 or you don't have the budget, see if you can borrow one and see how well that works out for you.
I went to college for music education. You can learn all the same stuff without being perpetually indebted to loan sharks. Please heed my warning. Stay away from college.
I think there might be some truth to that. You might have had a bad experience. Who knows? You might have been lazy in college. I found that the most successful people I went to college with were the people who applied themselves and were usually there on the weekends and the holidays and that kind of thing as well, and didn't go off to the Caribbean for spring break or that kind of shit. The people who got shit done in college wound up getting shit done in the real world. Myself, I had an amazing experience in college, and most of the people that were total go-getters in college are the people who are working as professionals in the industry. Of course, I went to a media arts school, so it was much more than just audio production. You know, I did video, I did multi-image, I did a bunch of other stuff, photography, you name it, and I've kind of integrated it all into this show. One of my very good friends that I went to school with, Mr. Mike Noonan, he is head of audio production at CTV Bell Globe Media and lectures at OEART in London, Ontario, which is an amazing recording school, by the way. Keep that in mind. Now, some of the bigger chain colleges might have a different outcome. Let's see the next comment here.
As someone who went to Full Sail in the early 2000s, it's not worth it. I could go on in detail and everything I did and learned during school post-graduation, but that would turn into a not-so-interesting novel. Long story short, I in turn saved money for gear and worked for little, free to nothing for years, all the while being reminded my degree in recording means nothing to anyone. Over 10 years later, the things I learned that I find most important came from actually spending time in a studio and actually working with bands and artists. While what I learned at Full Sail was arguably useful, real-world immersion and actually doing it regardless of the gear I had available is where I grew and learned the most. TLDR, just fucking do it. You don't need anyone holding your hand or patting you on the back because that shit doesn't happen in this industry.
Wow, I think there was a great big dose of truth we all needed to take. I'm sorry you went to Full Sail. I mean, like, it's definitely turned into a bit of a laughing stock in the music biz from what I've been hearing, just in the general community consensus and whatnot, especially if you have a degree in piano. But I really think you hit the nail right on the head is, yeah, you don't need somebody patting you on the back. You actually need to do it. Now, I've never regretted my 3 years at Sheridan College Media in Oakville. Like I said, it was a lot more than just audio. I learned an awful lot. I made some really amazing friends, and I learned some basic skills there, especially when it came to photography and video production, that kind of thing. I learned some real basic audio stuff, but I wasn't an audio major, and I just kind of went into this when I landed a full-time manufacturing job because I thought it would be easy. But the thing that's going to make you better at making recordings is to just do it. And there's some amazing online courses you can get that aren't going to break the bank. You know, my friend Warren over at Produce Like a Pro has an amazing education program that is really super affordable. And of course, my lessons, mixing math rock, producing prog metal, and the new one, Total Heavy Guitar, all of those are really affordable, especially when you consider the price of a couple semesters at college, and they're going to be much more tuned to exactly what you want to learn. So keep that in mind.
Wow, didn't even say which compressor was which in this video. Fucking asshole! Trying to force people to watch this next video is a lame move. I just won't watch any of this dude's videos. The whole shootout was flawed using the same settings. Hardware EL8 behaved differently with the same settings. Should have been dialed in sound like you liked on hardware and tried to match it with FG stress and started the difference in settings.
Okay, let's calm down just a little bit. Sorry to lose your subscribership. Yeah, sorry about, putting the results in another video. It's almost like I want people to watch the fucking show. Anything else majorly inconvenient that you need to bitch about? Leave a comment below. I'd really like to know. Here was the whole point of that test. I wanted to see what would happen if you set them up exactly the same. After all, the software is supposed to emulate the hardware, so you would think it would sound the same when it's set the same way. Is that really that big of a mental challenge for you to fucking understand? Why is this so fucking difficult? Of course, if you don't like the way how I did the test, feel free to conduct your own and post your own video. YouTube is accessible to everybody.
I instantly click on Do Not Recommend Channel whenever this channel comes up. Would love to view the content, but the South Park voices are annoying beyond belief. Get a life, you old fart!
John, could you please tell us where the bad South Park voices touched you?
Okay, so I know for metal, 1 mic or even 4 mics isn't enough for drums, but for less heavy music, could you get away with less mics?
Well, considering some people consider Led Zeppelin to be heavy metal, I mean, what's your frame of reference? You didn't quite leave me a jumping off point there. I'm going to take a wild guess and assume you're talking about modern metal, especially the hyper overproduced, completely sample replaced oatmeal that we get these days. Zeppelin recorded with 3 or 4 mics. That's all they needed, and they got absolutely massive drum tones. I've done a video on what's called the Glyn Johns technique. If you do a little search for that, you will definitely find that video where we mic up the kit with 4 mics. Kick, snare, and 2 overheads set up in an interesting configuration, and we did get some pretty awesome results. So if you're playing heavy rock even, you can get away with less mics. If you want to play with some old school Black Sabbath, you can get away with less mics. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Now, the great thing about the Glyn Johns technique is that it is very simple to implement and learn. So if you are just getting into recording real drums, I would recommend starting out with that before you start bringing in multiple mics. It's just an easier curve to get over. Good luck, dude.
This looks a little outdated. They have all this stuff in most DAWs.
Wow, Devin, thank you so much for pointing that out. I would have never fucking realized that.
The people who defend this kind of crap as part of the culture will also be the first to complain when their scene dies or their bands can't get booked because most normal people want nothing to do with them.
Oh, the crowd killing video, the gift that keeps on giving. I love that. I did that video 3 years ago and people are still watching it and commenting on it because apparently the moron factor at hardcore shows has not gone down at all. It's still very much a real danger. And this is the thing, it doesn't matter the scene. It's elitists always wind up killing their own scenes. It's like, well, that's not cool, that's not cool, that's not cool. Suddenly people don't go to the shows anymore, and then the cool people wonder why nobody goes. I always go back to the whole Norwegian black metal thing where Euronymous had a record store and they were going to sell records to the cool people. Didn't really work out so well. Gee, I wonder why. Probably because there were only about 3 cool people.
Brother, great video. Was wondering if you can do one on affordable compressors.
You're referencing the SMG chopping block video I did a couple weeks back where I shot out 6 affordable recording interfaces. If you guys haven't checked that video out, I highly recommend that you do because there's a lot of useful information out there, especially if you're just starting in recording and you don't know where to put your money. This will help you out quite a bit. As per your question, I would absolutely be thrilled to shoot out some cheaper compressors. I've already taken a look at the FMR, really nice compressor. I've got the Art Pro VLA sitting over here. But now because I've got the Cranborn 500 series chassis with a whole bunch of available slots, I've got a bunch of affordable stuff coming in. I'm going to be taking a look at some of the Alcatron stuff, and I'm going to be taking a look at the Midas stuff as well because all that stuff is really dirt cheap. And yeah, I think shooting out a bunch of them would be a really great idea. So yes, I think I am going to do a dedicated video to that. And thank you so much for the suggestion. Can't wait to put it into action.
Hey Glenn, I'm a new sub and member of the Discord, and I will say I love the community, but I want to ask you what I should do. I'm the bass player in a band, me and a couple of buddies of mine. I feel like I'm the only one who even tries, and when I try to write a song for us or even get them to play, they're never prepared because they never practice. Then if I can get them to play longer than an hour, they start complaining that they're sore or tired. I get that being a bass player and saying that makes me sound pretentious and self-absorbed and ignorant, but we'll all agree on playing a song. I'll practice my ass off, then when we get together to play, they haven't even attempted to practice it, and then the guitar starts playing some stupid tab from a Legend of Zelda song he learned, and it pisses me off. Anyhow, thanks for your time.
I'm going to take a wild guess that you might still be in high school or in early college, somewhere around that age. And I went through a very similar experience where my high school band, it was impossible to get everyone together for an actual practice. Everybody always had something better to do, and they didn't learn the material because they didn't take this shit fucking seriously. You want to play in a band, then fucking act like you're going to play in a band and apply yourself. If you're not going to fucking learn the material that has been agreed upon, then don't fucking join a band. You're just going to let yourself down. You're going to let everybody else involved down. My question to the poster is this: why are you still playing with these people? Why have you not moved on and found someone else? It's a great big internet out there. Put an ad up on Facebook looking for serious musicians to form a project with. Because if the guys you're playing with right now don't want to put in the effort, then they are not worth your time.
Why do you have a stack of stage amps in a studio? Is it really necessary to have 50 or 100 watts of venue leveling volume to record? I get that you can theoretically drive a tube amp, but do people even do that? Do you need to? What can those monsters do that a single tiny terror or something like that can't do when everyone just uses their preamps or pedals and it's all about the speaker cab, as you say?
Well, first and foremost, they're not stage amps. I've never actually heard anybody refer to them like that before. They're all just amps. The difference between, say, a 120 watt monster back there and a tiny terror, yes, there's huge differences in tone. Power tubes saturate differently, and they will sound differently depending on how you drive them. Speaker cabinets need to be pushed. You need to get the speakers physically moving, and you need to get the cabinet to resonate to really bring out the best sound possible. So yes, these are absolutely still necessary. Even in a hybrid recording setup where you're going to be using, say, a Torpedo Captor or a Torpedo Live or something like that, it has an active reactive load which pushes back against the power tubes. So yes, these things are absolutely necessary, even more so in the studio than on the stage these days. As I've said, I've seen Axifexes and Kempers being used in major festivals for their reliability, and nobody in the audience can tell a freaking difference whatsoever. In fact, I think the whole dynamic has kind of flipped on its head, where the tube amp is much more needed in a studio than on the stage.
I have a bit of a weird question. Also, sorry for weak English. Why are stems so rarely released? As someone who's greatly interested in hearing the music, all of it, I really do not understand why musicians don't sell stem versions of their songs. Is that kind of the point to hear and appreciate the hard work?
That's a great question, dude. I think Devin Townsend just put out a record and made the stems available for download or something to that effect. So good for you, Devin. That's a seriously awesome move. But you're absolutely right. Most bands don't make that stuff available because maybe they don't want people seeing, you know, the gritty underbelly of what they're doing. Releasing the stems can reveal a lot of flaws that maybe a lot of musicians aren't comfortable with putting out there. And if you get the raw tracks, especially, you can just see how much computer enhancement went into making their shitty takes passable on a record. I imagine that has quite a bit to do with it as well. I think it's just artistic nervousness as well. Ooh, what's going to happen if I let this out? So that's why they're so fucking rare. It's kind of a shame, but then again, if you release the stems, it does take away a bit of the mystique about the band as well. So there is something to that.
Hey Glenn, the advice to check mixes on a car stereo is a really great step in perfecting a mix, but I was wondering, could setting up a cheap pair of PC speakers in the bathroom work too? Seems like with the horrible acoustics, reflections, etc., it would work even better, or at least as well.
I think that's the mother of all bad ideas, man. I mean, a bathroom's definitely not a good place to check a mix. The acoustic environment of a car works because the walls of a car are very thin and can pass the bass frequencies out, so they won't bounce back in out of phase, so you get a much clearer idea of what's going on in the bottom end. If you want to use computer speakers to check a mix, I'd highly recommend setting up a picnic table in your backyard or something like that and a laptop and listening there, because there won't be any reflections for the sound to bounce off of, and you'll get a much clearer picture of what's going on. The reason we build all kinds of weird acoustic treatments into our studios and have splayed walls and all that kind of stuff is to take the walls out of the equation. And unfortunately, due to the physical limitations of said control rooms, we never get a perfect acoustic environment. The perfect acoustic environment is outdoors. So if you've got a nice warm climate and neighbors who aren't easily pissed off, try that out. You might be shocked by the results that you get.
I know this channel is for live recording, yet I have a potentially unrelated question nonetheless. How do you feel about tribute bands in general, and would you consider working with them? Thanks for your time, and fuck you, Glenn.
Hey, Robert, it would really depend on the band and if they have the rights to record the songs that they want to do. Record companies love lawsuits and they love suing people, so unless there's an actual signed form with the band having permission to do the songs, I'm just going to stay away from it. It's not worth the hassle or the potential liability.
Hey Glenn, what's the bare minimum I would need to record my acoustic project? Cheers from Oregon. I'm 17 years old and don't have a lot of money to throw away.
Dude, I hear ya. I was 17 and broke once upon a time, many moons ago. It's back when bands actually had to sing on their records and didn't let computers fix it for them. I'd say put a couple $100 away. You might need $500-600. I would get Focusrite 2i2 or an Audient for under $200. And one good mic. The Lewitt LCT 440 Pure. I think that's the name of it. It's got Pure in the title somewhere. Is under $200 and is absolutely freaking stellar. The interface is good. And get yourself a pair of Kali LP6s so you can actually hear what the fuck's going on. That should be plenty to get you started, and you just gave me a great idea for a video. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, that's episode 250 of SMG Viewers Comments. Just want to say thank you oh so much to everybody for writing in with your comments and questions. If you haven't joined my Discord, please do. It's a great online community, and the mods will only tell you to light yourself on fire, once every couple weeks or something like that. Seriously, though, it's a really cool spot to hang out in. Just have a bit of a thick skin. We do tend to poke fun at one another. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if you haven't hit that fucking subscribe button, please do. It just makes all the difference in the world to me. And until next time, keep those comments and questions coming. Stay home, stay safe, and wash your fucking hands!